understand that because to me, and it's got to be ego driven, but to me, being on a broadcast, it's a team. They say broadcast teams, and it's
Yeah.
not only just Tom and I and Shannon. It's Mark Titleman, the director, Greg Scopatoni, the producer. It's all these guys working together as one. And the only thing that I can think why guys wouldn't get along or they're arguing or is it's got to be ego because I need more camera time or I need this.
That's exactly what it is.
After every quarter, because I'm very conscious of this, after every quarter I ask Tom, am I giving you enough room? Do you need anything from me? Did I miss anything? And it's the thing I love about this job is that it's a lot of work to get ready for one game. And it's a lot of information that you put into your brain and focus on two teams. It's like breaking down the whole game plus other stuff that needs to go into the game. And you might use a quarter of it, but you want to be ready. And that's why I love this job because it kind of reminds me of what I was as a player. So
let me see if I can remember most of them. Pam Ward, Mark Jones, Sean McDonough. And then I kind of lost track on the NFL because I don't often get the treat of being able to hear
Dick Stockton for a couple games.
Okay.
The great Dick Stockton and Tom Brenneman. But
and Dave Pash.
Obviously. Yeah, and Dave Pash. Steve Levy I worked with a couple. I worked with a bunch of guys. I love it. And, my job is to, know when to shut up and know when to talk. Like if there's a big play or big moment, that's not my thing. That's their thing. That's what they're trained to do. That's why their voices they can raise levels and take it down certain levels and make you live the moment. And Tom is one of the best. I've worked with great guys. I've been so fortunate. And the best compliment that I can give a partner in the booth, a play-by-play guy, is they force me to be better because I want to live up to their standard.
I never, you often hear highlights where the play-by-play guy is cut in on.
I hate that.
So yesterday, I got to call you on this. The first touchdown to the 49ers, ball's in the air, and you said, touchdown. Do you regret that, or do you think that was okay?
No, because he didn't catch the ball yet. But
he didn't catch the ball yet. Yeah.
No, as soon as it left his hand.
Yeah, touchdown. Yeah, and it was. Man, was he open? That was a harbinger of things.
I shouldn't have said it. But in all fairness, I shouldn't have said it. But sometimes I say things out loud.
Really?
That I say to myself, but somehow they come out loud because I'm sitting there and like as soon as the ball left his hand, touchdown.
There was just nobody there. I mean, it's just crazy. Just an example of what the Bengals dealt with that day. All right, NFL headlines around the league. Drew Brees hurt. Ben Roethlisberger hurt.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh Steelers have trips to, I think, San Francisco and the Chargers coming up, and they got to go to Baltimore. Real quickly, like 10 seconds on each of these. Do you believe in Lamar Jackson's sustainability?
Yes. I believed in him coming out of college.
I do not.
I don't know if you remember us talking about that.
You believe in him. I do not. All right, Antonio Brown. Will he continue to play for the New England Patriots, or will the NFL intervene for optics alone, given this ugly civil suit?
The NFL has to intervene if there's anything. I want to wait for the investigation to come out, but only because we live in a world where there's so many allegations made. It could be with Antonio Brown. It could be with Brett Kavanaugh. I just don't know, so I just want the evidence to come out and wait for it to happen. From my understanding, I heard this in the news report that there was a negotiation between the victim and Antonio Brown.
Correct.
That negotiation broke down. As soon as the negotiation broke down, civil suit was filed.
Yeah, so there's so many different levels to that.
We're
staying away from the specifics of it because it is so complex.
Yeah,
obviously, if he did this, he should never play football again. He should be in jail if he did this. So, but it's not a criminal matter.
If he didn't do it, should the person accusing him of doing it have consequences? I think yes.
I think so. Yes.
You can't falsely accuse somebody of doing stuff like this.
No, I mean but we do have the one thing what do we know? We have the text message he sent her or the Facebook message or whatever the message was, and that is very ugly. That is a very ugly message.
Right.
All right. So
I don't have all the information, so I've learned my lesson a long time ago that I'm not going to prejudge any of this because I don't know.
Yeah, and
if this is true, and
that's in no way on our part an endorsement of him as a person or playing or anything like that. It's just that I think we would all want to be innocent until proven guilty.
And here's a trick that the media uses, and no political side here, just if indeed true, if this is true, if true, if true. That's how they preface everything by saying if true.
Yeah.
And they're throwing an allegation out there as it's true.
Right. A lot of it shouldn't be
But they sneak it in there if true.
If true, yeah.
I mean, come on.
You could put all that.
So I'm not doing that. I'm not falling into that trap.
Right, exactly. We hope you'll email the show, SpielmanHooleyPodcast@gmail.com, SpielmanHooleyPodcast@gmail.com. Brock did so. This is our email of the week. Brock says, I just wanted to say I've been listening to you guys since I was a teenager in high school, all the way back to your days at the Fan. My dad and I would listen every day while we worked together for his painting business. I still recall some of my favorite segments you guys did like it was yesterday. My father became ill a few years back and had to retire and close his business. I was taking him to an appointment a few days ago, and I plugged the podcast into the truck, and we listened while we drove. I can't express the nostalgia I felt, and I know he felt as well, as we got to listen to you guys together again. I'm almost 30 now, and we enjoyed it just as much as before. Just wanted to say thanks. I appreciate what you do to help me get through my work week.
Great.
That's why we do this.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's why we do this. And then he says, my non-sports kind of silly question to you guys is this. If you could only have one movie, one music album, one favorite food, and one favorite book for the rest of your days, what would your choices be? All right, Spiels, if you could only have one movie.
Braveheart.
The Sting.
I know, you love that movie.
I love that
I got to
movie.
watch it.
Yeah.
It's before my time.
It is before your time. One music album.
Bruce Springsteen, Darkness on the Edge of Town.
Mine would be Stevie Ray Vaughan, anything Stevie Ray Vaughan, probably In Step. One favorite food.
Boy, that's a tough one. Probably baked chicken with Bob Evans mashed potatoes. And salad with Italian.
I mean, I don't know if I'm on a desert island here.
Is that one?
If I'm
name
not,
3.
If I'm not on a desert, if I'm not on a desert island and I have like access to cooking utensils.
Is it desert island?
No, I'm just saying. I don't know. I'd have eggs because eggs are versatile. I could eat them hard boiled. I could eat them poached. I could eat them scrambled. But if I'm on a desert island, I'll take pizza. Although I don't know how you're getting hot pizza to an island. And one favorite book for the rest of your days. That one's probably a layup for both of us.
Yeah, I mean, excluding the Bible.
Yeah, I'm not gonna exclude the Bible.
No, I'm not excluding the Bible.
But if we exclude, if true, we exclude the Bible, it would be.
I read it as a kid, and I read it 7 times. Newt Rockney, All-American.
That's classic.
Did you ever hear of the book?
Yes, of course.
And my favorite youth author.
What was the first book you remember reading? Would that have been it?
Yes.
Mine would have been The Baseball Life of Sandy Koufax.
Okay.
Just trivia that has nothing to do with anything.
My favorite youth author, and I know some of our listeners remember this author because he used to write children's sports books, and his name was Matt Christopher.
I don't know him. Don't know his work.
It'd be interesting if we get any feedback on that. But I read every one of Matt Christopher's books.
Great. By the way, speaking of books, if you have teenage girls, search my wife's book on Amazon. And Sherry Hooley, Sheri, Sherry Hooley. Search her book on Amazon. For young girls, it's, good, safe language and good themes and all those things. So I'd like to hear reviews on that if you don't mind indulging in a totally self-serving endeavor there. Okay, so mine, exclude the Bible.
You said... Oh, was it Sandy?
No, that's the first book
Sherry's
I ever read.
How many books have you written?
How many books have I written?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would do just to pump the sales of That's Why I'm Here, the Chris and Stephanie Spielman.
But how many? You've written 2 books or 3?
I've written 2. Yeah, the other one is Ohio State's Unforgettables.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right, so now we conclude the show today with an email from Dominic in Illyria. Dominic says, you guys are both very out front with your faith. Is there anything that's ever happened in your life that's made you question whether your faith is real?
Go first.
No. For me, no. And I credit that to my parents, both of whom I've lost in the last 2 years. I was never one of those kids to question or people to question when things have gone bad in my life. I've had some tough circumstances in my life with losing friends, with some other things that have happened since I've become an adult. But for me, going back to my faith has always been an automatic because I saw my faith modeled by my parents. So I just sort of understand my place in the food chain. And my place in the food chain is God is God and I'm not. I know he loves me. I know he doesn't mess with me. I know he sent his son to die for me and allow me to be acceptable in his sight so that I can go to heaven. That allows me to live with perfect peace. It doesn't free me from worry. When the zone folded, I'm worried about how I'm going to provide for my family. But the place that I always go is right back to the Bible, right back to my faith. And I just feel like whenever I'm hit with a tough circumstance, the right move for me, the go-to move for me, is to go back to that and to base everything that I do on that, because there have been times in my life where I've drifted in my faith and I've tried to do things and control things and sustain things in my own power. And so I have two things I can compare: Bruce in control or God in control. And God in control works out a lot better. So for me, the answer is no. It's never shaken me to the point where I go, well, that doesn't exist. That's not true. No, for me, it's very, very real. And I'd be happy to talk with any of you about it.
Well, have I ever questioned it as if there is a God or if there is not a God? No. I've always had a very honest relationship with God. I think it's naive to think that anybody could lie to God. I'm not mad at this circumstance, God. I'm not mad at this situation. Why are you doing, or question God's plan or motive or whatever's going on? But then what is humbling, if you look back, and as you said, go back biblically, you look at the book of Job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And who did God give access? Who did God let have access to Job?
Satan. Gave him permission.
Gave him permission to go torment Job.
But said you can't end his life.
Right. But he took
anything else short of that.
Everything else
go for
wiped out. Then God restored plentiful, right? Yeah. So I don't know the reasons for certain things, and I'm sure Job could not understand why he had to go through what he had to go through. I think one thing that we have to do is that, and you hit on it, and you didn't use the term, but you referenced the term, is there's an eternal perspective. You have to keep an eternal perspective in mind, that throughout this lifetime there will be trials and tribulations. They're coming. And you have to look at those as an experience. And I remember having to question myself, not if there's a God or not a God, but when we're in a situation, okay, it's fine that I'm mad at God, or I'm having an honest conversation with what's going on here, or I'm trying to cut deals with God. But a lot of people, when that happens to them, they run away from God. So when Stephanie passed away, I wrote my kids a note and I said this: look, you got to make this decision. During this time of trouble, you're either going to run to God or you're going to run away from God. One of them's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And I strongly advise you, because I love you, because you will find peace if you run to God. So I've never questioned the existence of God. I never questioned the authority of the Bible. I never questioned the death and the resurrection of Christ. Because if I did, and if that weren't true, then I'm wasting breath and oxygen and being on this earth. There's nothing to live for. If you're not living for the eternal, for eternity, what are you living for? Nothing. There's no meaning.
Nothing. No, there's not. I mean, the wisest man that ever lived, Solomon, in the book of Ecclesiastes, says over and over and over again, everything here is meaningless.
No kidding.
Everything.
Yes, except Ohio State football. Just kidding.
There you go.
Just kidding.
Yes.
Just kidding.
Bring it all back to center. So we'll be back on Wednesday with another Spielman and Hooley podcast. Email the show, spielmanhooleypodcast@gmail.com. We really appreciate it. Go to your favorite podcast platform and subscribe. And we're going to start an insiders email for all of you. So if you'd like to be on the insiders, know what's coming up on upcoming shows, guests, hopefully remote appearances and things like that, let us know.
Really?
Yeah.
When were you going to inform me of all this?
When I have one.
When you're CEO.
When I have one booked. Yes, exactly. So we love doing this with you guys. We love the response we've gotten. Thanks, and everybody have a great day.
Good stuff, buddy.
Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. The faith part of it is something that we need to find a way to get that in every podcast.
We just gotta maybe even do a whole show on it.
Yeah, I think we can, and I think that's good. It's good.
And the husband father stuff too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'll come up with some things on that for Wednesday.
All right, you good?
I'm good, man. I'll get that out. I'll have that. Do some show notes and have that out.
Did you notice that though in the media that if indeed true,
Yeah, if true, yeah.